and welcome to my vlog for the 2019 Spook-A-Thon. This is a readathon that's going from October 14th to the 20th. It's run by Books and Lala, and it's obviously about reading lots of good spooky stories for the October season. So, without further ado, let's get into my TBR. The first challenge was to read a book with a spooky word in the title. For that, I have gone with The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. I picked up this copy like 2.5 years ago when I was in Portland and still have not read it. It's getting read this week. Next, there was a challenge for just a general thriller and also a challenge for a book with red in the cover. So I have combined the two challenges for The Arrangement by Robin Harding. This book was actually supposed to be a book club book a couple months ago that, for one reason or another, ended up getting passed over for a different book. So I'm excited to finally be picking this up. Next, there was a challenge for a book that was something you wouldn't normally read, and I've gone with true crime for this. This is going to be I believe the third true crime book I've ever read. It is The Borden Murders, Lizzie Borden and the Trial of the Century by Sarah Miller. As I said, I'm very much not familiar with the true crime genre. However, I believe this is going to be very heavily, look at that. I believe this is going to be very heavy in like the actual reporting of the trial at the time, which I think sounds very interesting. So I'm excited for that book as well. Last but not least, a book in a spooky setting, for which I've gone with Gideon the Ninth. I'm probably most excited about this book. This book was also supposed to be a book club book that the rest of my book club did not want to read. Let me just read you the blurb here at the bottom. It says, lesbian necromancers explore a haunted Gothic palace in space. Decadent nobles vie to serve the deathless emperor. Skeletons! Exclamation point. How could you not want to read that? I need a new book club. Anyway, so that is my TBR for the week. We'll see if I get it all done. I am cautiously optimistic. Oops, that's upside down. There we go. Cautiously optimistic. I'm only working 2 days this week, which obviously is a plus. However, my social calendar is surprisingly heavy this week, so we'll see. It'll be an adventure. Good morning. Welcome to day 1 of Spook-A-Thon. It is currently about 7:45 in the morning. Today's an off day for me. It's a holiday here in the US, so don't have to work all day. Awesome. Gonna kick things off with Gideon the Ninth, which is the longest book in my stack. So we'll start with that. The plan for the day is to read most of the morning, and then at 10:30, I'm meeting a friend for brunch. Excited about that. Right after that, both of us are going to the San Diego Safari Park. Very, very excited about that. It's been at the top of my list of things to do while I'm here in San Diego. So that's awesome. And then my evening's pretty free, so come back and probably read more of Gideon, and we'll see how far we get. Alright, I am back from all the day's adventures. It is currently almost 2100. So a very long day, but it was a good day. It was nice being out with friends Got to go to the zoo, which was good. It was a good day. As far as reading goes, I'm currently 5 chapters into Gideon. Really liking it so far. It's super dark and creepy, very heavy on the skeletons, which obviously is what we're looking for. However, it's not quite what I think I want to be reading right before going to bed. So, I'm going to put that aside for now and get ready for bed. And then I think I'm going to pick up Lizzie Borden and read that until I fall asleep. Hi. It's been a long day. It was a bad day at work. Came home, cat was freaking out because I was gone so long. So, long day at work, not gonna talk about it. Life goes on. This is Jack, by the way. Have you ever met Jack? Say hi. Say hi. No, you're done? Okay. Alright, let's talk about book things. I'm currently this far in Gideon, so almost exactly halfway. Really liking it. I'm having a little bit of trouble following it. It's definitely a harder read for me. Like, I have to go back and reread passages a couple of times to make sure, wait, do I really understand what's happening here? It is going on 1800. I don't really feel like reading right now. I kind of want to just cuddle with my cat and watch Netflix for a little while. Can I do that? Is that okay? Yeah, so I think I'm gonna do that. I think that's what the evening plans are gonna be. I'm gonna just chill with the cat, do laundry. I do need to do laundry tonight, but yeah, that's about it. I'll probably pick up Lizzie Borden again when I'm heading to bed, but it's also good. I'm only about 20 some pages in, but so far so good. Okay, it's been about 40 hours since we last talked. You didn't miss much. I had another really long day at work yesterday. Came home, wasn't really feeling much of anything, so yeah. Haven't read any further in Gideon. I did read about 50 more pages of Lizzie Borden last night before going to bed. I'm realizing as I'm reading it that I really didn't know anything at all about the Lizzie Borden trial and the investigation, besides the nursery rhyme, which isn't accurate. Surprise, surprise. Yes, so that's coming along nicely. Today is the start of my vacation. I have a whole week off. Today I slept in really late. Got up and went to a Pilates class this morning, came home, showered, ate lunch, and now I think the plan for the rest of the afternoon is pretty much just reading. Probably going to be reading Gideon for quite a while. Hopefully, maybe finish it today. I don't know, we'll see. It'll be close. Might finish it, we'll see. Other than that, I do need to do some cleaning, and I need to go to Target. Maybe I'll go to the bookstore while I'm out. We'll see. failed, guys. I went to Barnes & Noble with a couple books off my TBR specifically in mind. I was going specifically for one of those. I got to Barnes & Noble, started browsing, and lo and behold, I got this book. Not on my TBR at all. Never heard of it before. This is the book I bought. Why? Well, for one, look at that cover. This is the cover. There's no dust jacket on this. That's the cover. Second, Queen Meryl. I mean, all right. I just made it to my Pilates class. I got about another 30-ish pages of Gideon read this morning. I'm really liking it. It's a hard book to read in the sense that it's taking me a very long time. Obviously, we're on day 5 now. Still haven't finished the book. But the plot's really good. It's just intense. People keep dying. And that's hard for me, so I keep having to like step away from it for a few minutes and just chill and regroup before diving back into it. But yeah, it's coming along really well. We're starting to collect all the plot lines and things are starting to be explained and we're starting to figure things out, which is exciting. I think I got about 100 pages left of it, so try to finish that this afternoon. All right, it is 2000 on day 5 of Spook-A-Thon. I finally finished my first book. What can I say about this? This book was one of the darkest and most unnerving books I've ever read. It was a lot of blood, a lot of bones, a lot of guts, a lot of death, which is not usually something I'm into. This was a very difficult read for me, obviously it taking 5 days to get through. I want to stress, however, that it taking 5 days had nothing to do with the quality of the book. Its content was just so dark that I felt like I had to step away from it regularly. It wasn't a book that I could just sit and read in one sitting, for sure. But the fact that I kept coming back to it, even with its very disturbing content, is a testament to how good this book was. There's 9 groups of people, and each one has distinctive characteristics, and representatives are called for from each of the groups, and they send a necromancer and a cavalier, who is like the bodyguard slash companion slash confidant of the necromancer. And they all go to this creepy mansion in the middle of deep space, and they're supposed to be solving these trials to become like the grand elite necromancers. So that's where all the bones and blood and guts comes from. And it wasn't until about 3/4 of the way through the book, when people started dying, that it really went into territory that was too dark for me. It was significantly outside of my comfort zone. But it was so engaging and so intriguing and so fun. This was a fun book that I had to keep coming back, and I had to finish it. It was also a difficult read in the sense that this is a sci-fi, which is unusual for me. There weren't an extreme amount of characters, but the characters all had multiple names, which was difficult for me. Like, sometimes they were called by their first name, sometimes their last name, sometimes their title, sometimes a nickname. I swear some of these characters were called like 5 different things throughout the book. So that was hard for me to keep track of, and that's a personal pet peeve of mine when there are just too many names to keep track of. What else was significant about this book? It was a very, not very, but it was a challenging read, just literature-wise, I guess. Is that what you would call it? I had to look up like at least 10 different words while I was reading this, which is unusual for me as I'm reading books. Pretty heavy reader, and I like to think that from that I have a larger than average vocabulary. But yeah, I had to break out the Google Dictionary a couple of times, which was a good thing. I liked that. I really liked that. That was a good situation to be in. I love learning new words. So yeah, I think overall, I'm gonna give this 4.5 stars. The only reason it's not 5 stars is purely personal reasons. Like, I found absolutely nothing wrong with the writing, nothing wrong with the story. It was an amazingly written story. It was just personal, of like the names and it just being a teensy bit too dark for my personal taste. But yeah, other than that, really, really good book. Very, very pleased with that start to readathon. Also glad I read this during a readathon, because it's the type of book, because it was so dense for me to get through. If I hadn't had the challenge of, okay, I got to get through this in a week, I easily could have dragged this book out for a month, maybe more. So yeah, very, very pleased with that. Next, I think I'm going to break out Lizzie Borden and see how far I can get through that tonight. I'm about a third of the way through it. Like I said, it's 8 p.m. I'm realizing just now that I think I've used military time up to this point. Sorry about that. I will not do that in future. So yes, it's 8 p.m. I actually have to pick up my husband from the airport at 11 p.m. Picking my husband up at the airport at 11 p.m. So yeah, gonna turn to Lizzie Borden and see how far I can get through that before I pick him up. Alright, I've been reading the Borden murders in the cell phone parking lot for the last 20 minutes or so, and Jesse just messaged that his plane landed, so we're gonna go pick him up and head on home. I'm already in the last like 50 pages of Lizzie Borden, which is good. Starting to think I was losing my edge there with Gideon. I just finished the Borden murders, and to be honest, I was a little disappointed with it. I was hoping, as I said before, I really didn't know anything about the facts of the Lizzie Borden trial and the case and everything that surrounded it, and I was really looking forward to reading this book and finally finding out what really happened. Unfortunately, nobody knows what really happened. So yeah, I was disappointed in that there really wasn't anything solid from this book, as far as who committed the murders, what Lizzie's involvement in them really was, etc. On the flip side, it's not really the book's fault that that's the case, because, like I said, a lot of the evidence just isn't there. The testimonies are gone. The initial, of course, this happened in the 1890s, so what we consider to be forensic investigating really didn't exist back then, so stuff could have been overlooked. So yeah, I think this is going to be a 3-star for me. It was interesting to read what it did have to say about the trial and the investigation. I just wish it was a little bit more concrete.